this place, the houses and the land, and these back roads like the back of my hand. But I left and I was long away, and now I'm back. I have to say it's strange, the changes life brings. But when I drive around, I'm seeing things. Oh, I see things where they are no more. Patch of woods, a cabin door, gone like winter into spring. Oh, I see things with wiser eyes, but still it takes me by surprise how time has sent them on the wing. It sounds crazy, but I'm seeing things.
General McCausland's great-grandson, Kyle, like so many West Virginians, grew up in the splendor of Mountain State beauty. But he had to look outside the state for work. He has now returned, and what he has brought back with him has helped him to refine a vision for the Kanawha Gateway's preservation.
I grew up in the Kanawha Valley on my father's farm. As I went to college, I became a physician for a multitude of different reasons. I moved away like most young people do, unfortunately, in West Virginia. I lived in Atlanta about 20 years. I saw it go from 1.5 million people to 5.5 million people. And though those were wonderful years, there came a time it was time to come home. I think that the Kanawha Valley provides a deep sense of roots to people, which is what I think the state of West Virginia does. For any individual who grows up in the state of West Virginia, they have deep roots. They have a very strong sense of who they are and where they came from, which is very important that we retain that and pass that on to our children and their children. Because if you have a strong base, then you're going to have a strong future. You will be a strong person wherever you go.
While the farmers of the region strive to change the way they do their work, the valley must undergo a renaissance in which these age-old farms are protected and diamonds in the rough become gemstones of agricultural and historical treasure. Every minute of every day, America loses 2 acres of farmland. The money that can be made from new development provides an alluring alternative to fighting the elements of farming for small return.
Farmland preservation is particularly important in the year 2010 because we've already lost so much farmland and our population is, of course, bounding. 50 years ago we had 175 million people in the United States of America. Now we have 300 million people. You can imagine how much extra land and products we have to produce just to feed those people, not to mention exports.
I have seen some figures showing that in the mid-90s, West Virginia was losing somewhere in the neighborhood of 10,000, 11,000 acres per year.
Small plants are popping up all around them. Of course, not that I don't want to see some development come into Mason County, but I don't want to see all the farmland used up either.
The federal government has instituted a new process to prevent further decline of farming. Farmland preservation is a program in which a farmer may participate and place his or her property under protective statutes.
A land trust is generally a private nonprofit organization that is committed to preserving the land, whether it be environmentally sensitive land like wetlands or riparian corridors, or increasingly we're seeing land trusts spring up focused on farmland preservation.
With respect to preservation or conservation of farmland, and I would like you to think not necessarily as just land, as preservation of our food source and conservation of our food source. One of the most basic things we need to do, and we need to do it now, is to take steps to start to preserve the natural resource, which is our land and fresh water.
Typically they are going to have easements donated to them, conservation easement or an agricultural easement, which means the landowner retains title of the land and continue to use it, but the land can't be developed. The land trust, a private non nonprofit with, maybe some donated funding or foundation funding, would probably have a small staff and maybe some volunteers and a board, and they would be responsible then for monitoring those easements to see that the land is not developed, that there's nothing happening on that land that goes beyond the original wishes of the easement donor.
At the same time, the farmer receives financial support. These additional funds can make a remarkable difference in running the farm. Such a program does require one stipulation. The farmland protected cannot be developed for further use other than agriculture.
Statistically, in West Virginia, we only have 11% of our land mass that's considered farmland. Ohio, on the other hand, has 49%. Between 1992 and 1997, we lost over 10,000 acres of land a year. That is equivalent to the entire land mass that George Washington owned in the Kanawha Valley from Point Pleasant to the Mason-Putnam County line in 1 year.
Very often farmland is lost to development, especially residential development, subdivisions. The conventional wisdom is that brings in a lot of local tax revenue. And it's true, it does. It will bring in new local tax revenue. Unfortunately, that new tax revenue will not be enough to support the services required by those new homes.
The program is seeing a growing number of farmers eager to participate. Given the historical nature of the Kanawha Gateway farms, their embrace of farmland preservation is all but guaranteed.